Next, I would like to introduce Meyer Appel. Mark has organized the Voice of Justice, a group that advocates for social justice on health care, child protection, mental health, and domestic violence issues. Mark has worked hard over many years to help survivors of child sexual abuse, especially in the Jewish community, by providing support and programs to help them overcome their fears and live a more productive life. Mark.
Thank you very much, Assemblywoman Markey, and of course thank you very much all the advocates for coming once again to be here with the Assemblywoman to finally get this historic Child Victims Act passed. We're standing here together, and this is a collective group of Jews, whites, blacks, Muslims, Baptists, Christians. We're all in this together. And this is a fight that we will not stop. And we will continue to battle until the Child Victims Act law becomes a reality in the state of New York and signed by Governor Cuomo. By extending the statute of limitations, the victims will have the necessary time to find closure and a healing process and to move forward with their lives. Now, this year, 2012, is our year. It's our year when we're finally going to get this bill passed. And Marcy and the Assemblywoman, we all talked about the media this year, about Penn State, Syracuse, scandals in churches in New York, in yeshivas, and different synagogues and different venues. So this year is a year where we have a chance and opportunity, when the people of this great state are finally beginning to understand what the word statute of limitations means. Nobody, up until this year, on all the media, are finally beginning to understand what that in New York State, once a young man reaches the age of 23, that's it. The statute, and that must be stopped. All of us in this room, are deeply committed to our faith. So this bill is not about fighting the church. It's not about fighting the yeshivas. It's about fighting for the future generation, for our children, to have a safe environment to grow up in the state of New York. It's so sad that very few leaders are now opposing the Markey bill, the child. But there are those. Ironically, those organizations that are fighting us on this bill, serious allegations are emerging in the newspapers on a daily basis of why they are fighting the Markey bill. What are they scared of? You will hear some of those stories today, and you will be reading about them in the media in the next few months. But we will prevail. We will prevail, and 2012 will be our year. In a few moments, you will be hearing from a young man, originally from Brooklyn, by the name of Schneier. Schneier will explain to you in his own words his story of abuse and how the system was close to him because of the statute of limitations issue. Also ironic in this situation is that the same organization that opposed the Child Victims Act are alleged to be involved in making sure that Schneier's case doesn't get prosecuted in the right time of the statute of limitations. Schneier came to us, the Voice of Justice, through his own attorney, Sarah Shilovitz from Miami Beach, who was an attorney who read some of Marcy Hamilton's book. I gave her your book. And she became sort of an eye and ear in Florida and in New York. And she immediately alerted me, you know, maybe Schneier cannot get his justice because of the statute of limitations, but we got to get his story out there. And his story is going to be spoken here today in Albany and around the country, because it's an important story. And it talks exactly about the cracks in the system and the problems in the system. Schneier is now a very successful businessman in Miami. I applaud Schneier for the courage and stamina to come forward here today and tell this compelling story. I am so proud to be your friend, Schneier, and I'm honored to present you today. Please welcome Schneier.
coming here today. I know we're all here for one purpose, to protect innocent children such as myself, so we can grow up and have a productive and emotional life. And we're here as good citizens to ask our government to fulfill its duty to the people that they were elected to govern, to protect the security and safety of our children. For indeed, this is the first and foremost duty of government, to protect its citizens. And here we are talking today about those unable to protect themselves, the most vulnerable, our children, including people such as myself. We are here to bring awareness to the terrible crime of child molestation, a crime that desecrates and destroys the lives of so many children. We are here today to urge our government and all good people of conscience who care about the security and the safety of our children and our future. I'd like to thank Assemblywoman. It's a pleasure meeting you. I just, honestly, I came in just for the day, just to speak. This is something that really means a lot to me. I thank you again for this opportunity. And I also want to thank Mr. Appel, my dear friend, and the Voice of Justice for, as far along as a year ago, I did not know that there was organizations and people within my similar background that were out there to promote this justice. And I thank also my attorney and friend, Mrs. Sarah Sholovitz from Florida, who couldn't be here today, for introducing me to this organization and introducing me to this part of society that was able to help me grow and come out with the story. Again, my name is Schneier. I'm here today to shed a little light on my story. When I grew up in Dutchess County, New York. My father's been a rabbi there for over 30 years. At 13 years old, I left my home and I ended up residing in Brooklyn. I became friendly with my abuser. His name is Rabbi Brisky. Yaakov Brisky. He took me into his home. I didn't have a place to stay. He sheltered me. He got me a job, got me into school, and did stuff of that nature, and kind of nurtured me, obviously, to take advantage of me and to be like my savior. I was a young, confused child, and he used his position of authority to molest me, and which really hurt me in life. And he till this day and continues to be a dean. This is not just a teacher, a dean of a school since 1974, I believe, who has hundreds of students, every single year in his school. And I can only imagine how many other people he's, violated and molested. And I want to be able to give the strength and hope to other people who, not necessarily with him, but anybody else, anywhere in the country that's had this trauma with especially religious or anybody that's ever taken advantage of them, that there's hope and you don't have to be ashamed, and it's not, it's not our fault. And for over 7 years, I kept a secret and shame to myself. I'm 25 now. At the age of 20, I ended up confiding in my family. I ended up seeking therapy, and basically I started to realize that this wasn't my fault, and it's not something that I did. My molester is a criminal. It's not something I did. I'm a good person. Today I reside in Florida. I own a successful business, and I'm proud of myself. And I thank God, my family, my friends, lawyers, and therapists who helped me deal with this traumatic experience. And I know that you can never ever be the same after you've been so violated as a child. And I know I'm probably one of the lucky ones, and many others still have not come forward too ashamed or ridden with guilt for something they are not guilty of themselves. And thank God I made it out. I am living life. Me living life is the biggest revenge to my abuser. It's the biggest, in my words, stab in the face to my abuser, that I'm living life, and ha ha ha, in a good way. And many others don't and will never open up unless we give them the courage and hope, like extending the statute of limitations. I remember, just to throw it in there, when I approached the DA, around the time which ended my statute of limitations, I remember that I was told that there was a bill in the state assembly. Obviously, it was Assemblywoman Markey, who I didn't know at the time, and I kind of had this notion that I just gave up hope, because I just didn't think nothing would ever be done. It would never be passed, and the churches and the yeshivas and these religious organizations would always stomp on it. And it's good to finally actually meet the people behind this, to see that this is real and it's not it's not fake. But the truth is, I'm still suffering from effects of what Rabbi Brisky did to me. If there was no statute of limitations of this terrible crime of molestation, I wouldn't be here today, and my abuser would more than likely be in jail. And I would have closure, and the victims of other sexual abuse would heal as well. As of today, my abuser, Rabbi Brisky, is still walking around free, and has reopened his school for at-risk teens, where he will once again have the opportunity to possibly and more than likely prey on innocent and vulnerable children such as like I was. If the Child Victims Act would be enacted and passed as the law, and the statute of limitations would be extended as it should, my abuser would not likely be free. He, as well as other molesters, would be in jail, and other children would not have to go through what I went through. And especially the people that protect them, which bothers me even more, is the power behind that protects these rabbis and these leaders of these schools. And on behalf of the many victims of child molestation, I strongly urge Governor Cuomo and the New York State Legislature to do the just and the right thing to ensure that the Child Victims Act becomes law in New York State. For the safety of our children and for the protection of those who cannot protect themselves, the damage of molesters due to children is evil. Let's stop them. I'd like to end off by saying a quote that has stuck with me all through this time. A famous Irish statesman, Edmund Burke, once said that all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And this is exactly why we are in this situation, because good men and good people, good women, whoever have you, do nothing and sit silent. Thank you very much.